Hello, my friends. Welcome. I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today, I am working on the Anne of Green Gables junk journal that I'm creating. And I want to mention that I am using the digital kit that I created, and it's available in my Etsy shop. And I called it Anne with an E. Today, I'm working on adding pockets, making tags, putting the tags in the pockets. I'm also going to be using some book pages. And one book in particular that I'm going to be using is called The Anne of Green Gables Treasury. And that's the book that I picked up while I was thrifting, either at the library or at a thrift store. I'll show that book to you later on in the video, but it's got such beautiful images that I'm just so happy to be able to use in this journal. As I do most of the time, I printed the digital kit out on the back of scrapbook paper, but also I am using some double-sided scrapbook paper in this journal as well. If you missed the first two videos, I want to go ahead and give you some background information. My friend JanetKay of Crafts and Tea with JanetKay reached out and asked if I would make an Anne of Green Gables journal for her. And of course I said yes, I'd be happy to. So I was inspired to go ahead and make the digital kit because I wanted to make a kit that I could use in the journal. As I mentioned in the title of the video that we are going to be using book pages, I need to mention to you that this pocket here is from a book page, and it's actually a sewing book that I had, like I think embroidery. And I thought the colors were perfect for this journal, so I went ahead and I cut the book page and turned it into a pocket. Now, this little piece of ephemera I put on the pocket also as a small pocket, so we have like a pocket on a pocket. But I ended up gluing that entire piece of ephemera down because it kept catching on this page here, and I did not want it to keep catching. So even during the flip through, I hadn't made that change yet, but I did end up making the change before I sent the journal out to JanetKay. A week or so ago, I did a video on making some ephemera using the stuff that was like on my desk and stuff that was given to me from a pen pal and scraps. And this is one of the pieces that I created, and I feel so fortunate that it works so well with the color palette in this journal. And if you look at that piece on the lower left, there's a little yellow button, and I just love it. It's absolutely perfect, and I had no idea that it was going to work, but it does. This is another piece of ephemera I made during that video. It was sort of a mass make video with scraps and goodies and stuff that was laying around, and it's working perfect in this journal. So that's a lot of fun. Now this tag is a piece from the kit. It's one of the cut aparts. And then when you look at the page and you see where it says Chapter 6, that came out of the Anne of Green Gables Treasury book. Now this dress I'm inking up, part of Anne's story is her love of puffy sleeves. So I made sure to put in the kit some dresses that have puffy sleeves and that have maybe a style that Anne would have worn. And that's a really fun part of the kit, is that there's a page of dresses and shoes and hats and stuff like that. You can see the page that I'm going to adhere that to has been covered with vintage pattern paper. I mentioned in my last video that I really wanted to capture Anne's spirit into this journal, and just her love for nature and her love for reading and all of that. But the other thing I wanted to be sure to capture was the time period in which the stories were written. And during that time period, there was a lot of hands-on work going on. People sewed their own clothing. Many lived on farms and, planted and gardened and collected, chicken eggs because they would have had chickens and horses to plow the fields. And so I wanted to make sure that I represented that time period in this journal as well. So this section here that I'm working on would sort of represent the fact that they made their own clothing. There's a sewing theme going on here in this part of the journal. Now I'm getting ready to make another tag, and I'm using a book page, and it is the embroidery book that I had cut some things out of, and I'm going to attach this tag. This was a cut apart from a piece of scrapbook paper that I got, but the colors work really nicely together. So I'm going to layer those together, and we will have a nice tag to put in that pocket. This still carries on the sewing theme, but yet it's got some hints of gardening on it as well. Now, because the large piece is a book page, it's quite thin and a little bit flimsy. So I'm going to add another layer onto the back of that just to give it a little more substance. Now, you guys know that I like to use my scraps as I'm working on a project. So I've got a piece of scrapbook paper that I'm going to go ahead and adhere to the back of this, and that'll just give it, to make it just a little bit thicker, give it a little more substance. Once I get that glued on, I'll grab my scissors and I'll go ahead and trim the excess edge off of it. Once I'm finished trimming it up, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some ink. I picked up, it's kind of like a purplish color, but I don't know, it's kind of more purpley blue. And I think it'll be perfect on this tag because this tag has a lot of blue with just some hints of purple. So that's why I chose that color. I feel like this tag needs just a little something else. So this is the book I was telling you about. It's the Anne of Green Gables Treasury. And it's a really beautiful book. It's got so much cool information in it. And I'm going to look through this and see if I can find something that I can glue to this tag just to give it that finishing touch that I'm looking for. Right here on this page, it's got like a little sewing theme on it. I see some thread. Yeah, it's like embroidery. It's just a basket with some embroidery goodies in it. There's an embroidery hoop with some finished sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out, put that on the bottom of the tag, and I think that'll be the finishing touch that I'm looking for. While I'm working on this, I want to let you guys know that Carol of Recrafted by Carol and I are doing a collaboration this month, and it's called Grungy Haunted Mansion Junk Journal Collab. And we're using her grungy kit. It's called Shabby Grunge. I think Shabby Grunge. And we're using my Haunted Mansion kit that's available in my Etsy shop. And hers obviously is available in her Etsy shop as well. And I will be sure to link both of the kits in my description box. And I wanted to tell you that if you would like to join in and get started on a Halloween journal, then join in with us. It'd be a lot of fun if you did. We will be sharing our videos on each Monday of the month of September. I'm going to list my journal in my Etsy shop once it's completed. And if you like Halloween journals, keep your eyes open for it because chances are it will be done before the end of the month and before the last video goes out. Well, speaking of being done, this tag is done. It's perfect. I'm sliding it in its pocket and yeah, there we go. I'm trying to decide which pocket I like it in. And actually, I decided it's just a little too tall. I don't want it to cover the whole dress that's on the page because I've decided to put it in the pocket on the right. And so I trimmed it up, and then I'm going to use my corner punch on there, and I'm going to re-ink that edge because remember I had inked the rest of it before. Oh, and actually I didn't use the corner punch on this one, so I don't need to worry about it. But just re-inking it up, and then we're going to pop it in that pocket, and that tag and pocket are finished. Some of you guys know that I have a pen pal, and she's a lady that I met on Instagram. And her channel on Instagram is Hope Vintage Sales. And we write each other back and forth and we send each other goodies. And she sent me this number too. And I like it because it's actually fabric. That is not paper, it's fabric. And so I thought it would be perfect in the journal. We're still a little bit in the sewing theme part of the journal, so that's why I put it on this pocket. Now, you'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a family tree. And if you don't know anything about the Anne of Green Gables story, then I'll tell you that Anne was adopted. Her parents died, I believe, in a fire, and so she was put up for adoption. And at some point in time, like the adoption is finalized, and so she gets her new family, and it's a really big deal for her. So I put the family tree in there, and JanetKay can either fill it out with her own family, she could fill it out with Anne's family, or she can completely cover it up and not use it at all. But at least it's in there if she wanted to have some fun with it. In the pocket on the left, I actually put in a copy of Anne's tree, and that came out of the book that I was showing you, The Treasury, and the tree scrapbook paper came out of a scrapbook pack, so they marry nicely together. Now I'm also making another tag to go in that pocket, and you can see that I'm using a piece from my kit. It's this adorable book, and it has a hedgehog on the front of it, and it says Autumn Stories. And then I put that on some scrapbook paper, and I'm tearing that, and I'm going to ink those edges, and then I'm going to adhere that to that tag that you see there on top of the journal. And that tag is going to go in the pocket on the left-hand side. And while I'm tearing and inking, I want to be sure to tell you guys that I appreciate you coming over and spending some time with me and hanging out. I hope that you saw something today that inspired you. If you did, please hit that like button. The algorithm likes it when you do that, and it says that, you know, people like the video and that it should share it with more people. So if you'll do that for me, that would be awesome. Speaking of all that kind of stuff, I'm closing in on 3K, so I am definitely going to do a 3K giveaway. I've been working on some other stuff, but I want to wrap my head around putting a giveaway together, and 3K is really significant. I'm very excited, so I will probably be doing giving a journal away, and definitely a second prize would be like a kit, like one of my digital kits, and maybe a pack of junk journal goodies. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. See you soon.